What's up guys, my name is Brandon, welcome to Quick Flicks. Today we are covering the fourth installment in the franchise, The First Purge.
Releasing in 2018, which if you're confused by the title, it is the fourth movie released, but it's a prequel to the others, jumping back to the very first Purge experiment the NFFA conducted. The First Purge is also the first of the Purge films not directed by James DeMonaco, who did however stay on to write and executive produce. The First Purge is instead directed by Gerard McMurray, and elaborates on ideas established in the Purge Anarchy about class inequality and population control.
If you'd like to see the full recap on the Purge Anarchy, I covered it a few videos back. You don't want to miss it, it's a fun one. Anyways, I'll stop wasting your guys' time, let's hop into the movie.
The movie opens up with a crazy drug addict named Skeletor talking to a psychologist. Skeletor is describing his desire to unleash his hate onto other people and purge himself of his negative thoughts, and the psychologist seems to like Skeletor's choice of words. The psychologist then assures Skeletor that he will soon have the chance to purge. We're then shown footage of protests and riots, with newscasters reporting that a militant political party called the New Founding Fathers of America promises to help with the unrest. After winning the election, President Bracken says change will come by any means necessary. We then go to Staten Island. 2 days before the controversial Purge experiment, we meet Nya and Isaiah, siblings in a low-income housing project, where the NFFA is recruiting. They promise $5,000 for every participant who stays on the island during Purge night, keeping track of their participants through arm trackers and camera contact lenses. The NFFA also says, for those who go out and release their anger, more money will be provided. Nya is outside the recruiting site, leading anti-Purge protesters. Also outside is the New Founding Fathers of America's Chief of Staff, Arlo Sabian, and the experiment's primary researcher, Dr. May Updell. Both tell a newscaster that the Purge was fairly voted on and not politically motivated. Drug kingpin Dimitri arrives on the scene in his G-Wagon and acknowledges some community elders before approaching Nya. These two used to date, but she's not really a fan of his line of work. Dimitri tells her that he is also anti-Purge, but doesn't really want to get involved in the politics and protesting, so he unfortunately cannot help her. Meanwhile, Isaiah is dealing drugs for Dimitri's crew when Skeletor approaches him, looking for free drugs in exchange for staying away from Nya. But when Isaiah refuses, Skeletor slashes his neck and sprints away, all giggly. His homie tries retaliating, opening fire, but to no avail. While he tends to Isaiah, Dimitri holds a meeting with all of the members in his gang, demanding that they stay home and safe during Purge night. However, gang member Capital A complains, saying that he wants to take advantage and release the beast tonight. But Dimitri doesn't like that much and threatens to kill him. He puts this fool in check before dismissing the meeting. Later on, Nya comes home to find Isaiah bleeding and learns that he was dealing drugs for Dimitri's gang when the incident went down. Infuriated, she confronts Dimitri at his community center compound, where he mentors kids in the neighborhood. Good guy Dimitri. Anyway, Nya yells at him, asking how could he have Isaiah out on the streets dealing drugs. But this is also news to him, as he had no clue. He promises to ensure that Isaiah never helps with his business again, and even offers to keep them safe during the Purge experiment. However, Nya refuses and reminds Dimitri how his criminal behavior hurts the community and was the leading cause for their relationship to fail. She refuses any kind of help that his dirty drug money could buy. While Nya is laying into him, Isaiah takes the Home Alone opportunity to enlist in the experiment, as he's tired of financially struggling and really wants to make some extra cash. Oh, and he wants some sweet revenge on Skeletor for the neck slash. An on-screen timer then shows us that we are now 1 hour away from the start of this experimental Purge night, and how Staten Island is now shut down, no longer allowing people to enter or exit. Nya takes shelter at her local church with mother-daughter duo Luisa and Selena, and neighbor Dolores. She calls to check on Isaiah, who lies and says that he left the island and went to Brooklyn, but is actually prepping for the Purge. putting in those fancy recording contacts, and practicing some gun moves for Skeletor. We get a montage of everyone prepping for the experiment, when the president addresses the citizens of Staten Island one last time, and the first ever Purge commencement warning airs. Although this warning is a bit different, you know the rules by now. All weapons and crime are legal for 12 hours, and blessed be the new founding fathers of America, yada yada yada. We follow Skeletor, who prepares for the night and kicks off the Purge by committing the first official legal murder, killing a man attempting to loot an ATM machine. Isaiah then heads out and is quickly spooked by two homeless women laughing their little hearts out. He picks up one of their dolls, but quickly realizes it's rigged with explosives and tosses that ish before getting on out of there. Running from one problem and almost into another, he sees Capital A and his crew, who are going against Dimitri's demands and attempting to purge by breaking into a jewelry store. Isaiah flees the area, but quickly runs into his homie, Kells, and some of his friends. They let him know that they are heading to a purge party and convince him to roll with them. Video of this party reaches NFFA headquarters, who is disappointed in how quiet the evening has been thus far. Luckily, they can count on the crazy mother hecka Skeletor, as he arrives at the party conveniently at the same time as Isaiah. Skeletor turns on a dancing lady and stabs her. The party goes on while Skeletor continues to slash and stab. When people realize, they freak out and get on out of there. However, Isaiah comes to the rescue, drawing his firearm, but unfortunately is just a little too shy to use it. Skeletor disarms him, causing Isaiah to flee. He runs into a seemingly abandoned warehouse to hide from Skeletor, but quickly runs into some creepy inhabitants. They chase him around, screaming threats, but he luckily gets away and hides in a random room. When Nya calls to check in, Isaiah comes clean about what in tarnation is going on. Irritated, she immediately leaves the safety of the church to come to the rescue. She quickly arrives at the warehouse, but hides from some vandalizers. They leave after throwing a Molotov at the ground. But before she can continue on, a wire wraps around her leg and pulls her into some sewer dwellers. Before they can drag her in, she pepper sprays these fools, just narrowly escaping their grasp. She stops in front of the warehouse, texting Isaiah to come on out. While she waits, Skeletor sneaks up from behind and slices her throat. Isaiah sees from afar and quickly darts into action, stabbing Skeletor in the back, incapacitating him just long enough for the siblings to run away. Meanwhile, Dimitri is enjoying his night with two women, who show up at his compound to seduce him. We get a weird and random dip to black transition, which cuts back to the girls now attacking Dimitri, trying to take advantage of the purge and kill him. Fun fact, the girls are actually credited as Anna and Elsa. After a back and forth brawl, Dimitri finally detains them and questions who sent them. The girls, not wanting to die, tell him that Capital A sent them. I guess he got his feelings hurt a little too much earlier. Dimitri sends the girls outside to make Capital A believe the mission was completed. He already gets ahead of himself, acting like he's in charge, but he quickly figures out that is indeed not the case. When Dimitri's gang surrounds him, and the drug kingpin himself makes a grand entrance. Young King tries apologizing, but Dimitri shoots him in the head with a Desert Eagle. He then has his gang eliminate the rest of Capital A's crew, but allows the two assailants to live. Good guy Dimitri. Chief of Staff Sabian continues to stir and expresses his frustration with Dr. Updell at the lack of violent participation during Purge Night. She reminds him that humans are variables and wants to explore why people of a lower socioeconomic status are not as violent as she predicted. Sabian then brushes her off as he takes a call from his superiors. Out on the streets, Nya and Isaiah have a heart-to-heart on their way to church. As they near, they find that a group of white supremacists on motorcycles have infiltrated it. They patiently wait until they leave and go to investigate. On the way in, they find Selena and Luisa just outside, who explain what happened. Nya asks about Dolores, but Luisa says that she left before the shooting to go find her. Isaiah tries to call her, but gets no reply. With Purge Night seemingly picking up dramatically, they flee to their apartment for safety. After Dimitri and his friend Seven leave Capital A's, a flaming ice cream truck T-bones their car. Dimitri wakes up to what seems like an active war zone, with masked purgers holding automatic weapons shooting into the street. He gets out, then stealthily kills one via neck break. Ouch. He grabs the purger's G36C and kills the rest of them. With the coast clear, he calls for his crew to come pick him up. Meanwhile, at the NFFA headquarters, Dr. Updell questions the logic of sudden violence across the island after such a quiet night, especially in low-income areas. But Sabian urges her not to. She obliges, but sneaks off and has a technician locate the source of all of the roving gangs. They come to the conclusion that they were all brought there by the NFFA to skew the data, since the purge up until this point had been a failure. Sabian arrives and admits that the purge is a ploy to cut social welfare programs and reduce national debt. In horror, Dr. Updell realizes her mistake in assisting with creating the purge. Probably just a little too late though.
Kinda weird how she's okay with a few organic murders, but organized genocide? That's where she draws the line? Come on, Aunt May, you should have known better.
Sabian then thanks her for her service before having armed men take her away to Staten Island. He watches her execution video with relief, then demands to make it disappear forever. Dimitri's gang arrives and deduces that the masked purgers were actually overseas mercenaries. They overhear the next locations of where the mercenaries plan to strike. The gang quickly heads there in Dimitri's signature G-Wagon, only to find one of Dimitri's community center kids lying dead in the street. Dimitri then decides that he and his gang will stay patrolling the neighborhood to prevent anyone else from getting hurt. This leads into a montage showing just how crazy Purge Night is becoming. Lots of purgers really like playing dress up, from clan robes to gas masks, and even a group of guys playing pretend cops. The night is getting quite intense. We catch back up with Naya, Louisa, Selena, and Isaiah, who have arrived in the projects. As they make their way to the apartment, a scary man tries slicing them up with a machete, but Isaiah draws the attention to himself, allowing the ladies to safely make it inside. He does some parkour, buying him enough time to follow pursuit and get inside safely. Aw, poor guy. They get inside of the apartment, where they recoup themselves after some traumatizing stuff. Moments later, they hear a knock on the door, and it's none other than Dolores. She was out looking for Naya the entire time. What a sweet gal. I like Dolores. Dimitri and his crew stock up on supplies in his warehouse. Seven says that he was able to get a great deal on weapons before Purge Night, causing Dimitri to realize that the NFFA was hoping for citizens of Staten Island to naturally act violently, trying to encourage the chaos with readily available guns and bombs. After a long motivational speech, he rallies his troops, vowing to protect his community, and they head out. We meet up with the community elders from earlier in an active battle with some Klansmen. Things are not looking bueno though, as one of them is wounded and they are all out of bullets. As the Klansmen approach behind a smokescreen, Dimitri and his crew ambush them, eliminating them all. Dimitri and his gang rearm the fellow citizens as the radio announces a plan to descend upon Naya's housing project. Dimitri and his gang immediately head to the scene and strategize just outside the apartment complex. However, NFFA drones spot them and open fire, killing literally every single person in the gang except for Dimitri, who hides under the car for cover. After the rampage of bullets, the drone flies away, allowing Dimitri to roll out from under the car and find one of his homies still clinging on for life. Dimitri gives him his jacket, cause you know, gotta see the main hero's muscles at some point, and gears up before heading to Naya's building. From the window, Naya's group notices the crazy mercenaries marching into the building. They see that they are facing a huge threat when Dimitri calls Naya and instructs her on how to best be safe. The call ends, and the group prepares. The mercenaries and their leader work their way through the building, breaking into every apartment and killing every occupant. Dimitri follows in their footsteps until he enters a stairwell, where two mercenaries happen to walk in behind him. A gorgeously brutal hand-to-hand 2-on-2 fistfight ensues. There's a great physicality where you can almost feel every punch land. Dimitri gains the upper hand, shooting one soldier to death and strangling the other with his bare hands. He continues on and finds an electrical box in the hallway, then cutting the power as he massacres more henchmen. A strobe light montage of Dimitri killing these suckers moves us from floor to floor until we reach the 14th floor, aka Naya's floor. In the apartment, Isaiah and the ladies are barricading themselves with furniture. They pull together whatever makeshift weapons they can find. Naya urges Louisa, Selena, and Dolores to hide while she and Isaiah stand guard. Dolores refuses and wants to fight alongside the siblings. Seconds later, the soldiers ram into the apartment. They are quick to act, taking cover until they can attack accordingly. They shoot these fools a few times and finish them off with some stabby. Another merc close by hears the commotion and goes to investigate. He turns the corner to see the siblings crouched over his dead buddies. But before he can act, he gets shot to death by none other than Dimitri. With the rest of the mercs and their leader on the way, D tells the others to hide in the closet until Purge Night ends. He tries to leave to execute a plan, but Naya stops stops him for a classic, "you guys can't wait until the threat is gone to talk this out" moment. He pushes her back as the Mercs take formation to launch an RPG, I think that's an RPG, when Skeletor arrives to save the day, stabbing 4 mercenaries to death, and may I add, with tons of BA-ness, but quickly gets lit up by the others. With the soldiers distracted, Nya throws a block of C4 from Dimitri's weapon bag. He shoots and misses enough times for a Merc to realize and lands a shot in his tummy, but this doesn't stop him from hitting the C4 brick, blowing up the remaining band of Mercs. He and Nya use a mattress as cover for the explosion, and after a moment of calm, everyone emerges from the closet. The purge alarm then signals the end of the experiment. As they leave the tower, Dolores, Nya, Isaiah, and a wounded Dimitri resolve to continue the fight against the purge, which we all know how that goes. We jump into the credits with Kendrick Lamar's All Right, but quickly get a mid-credit scene of Sabian announcing during a press conference that the experiment on Staten Island was a total success, with full support from the president to roll out a nationwide purge for the following year. The screen then cuts to black.
Let me know what you thought of the first Purge. Did you like it? Hate it? Let me know down below. Next week, we are going to be wrapping up the series with the final installment in the franchise, the Forever Purge. You don't want to miss it. It's a crazy one. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you liked the video, hit the like button. And if you don't want to miss a video, hit the sub button. Anyways, again, thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.